In the Lab, a Texans podcast that takes a different look at things. Drew Dougherty and John Harris have their lab coats and goggles on, and the Bunsen burners burning. Here's Drew.
After a nice little break, In the Lab returns. Me, Drew Dougherty, this guy, John Harris. It's great to be with you. And John, there was an interesting discussion going on between you and Mark Vandermeer.
Yes.
About villains, about foes, about bad guys.
Yes.
And you all had a ranking, and you put Peyton Manning up there first.
We did. That was pretty obvious.
Which, it is obvious, but, I mean, he was everybody's foe. I mean, he was a multi-time MVP.
But it's
okay. He feasted on the Texans.
Everybody hates Harvard. It's okay.
He padded his stats, certainly, against the Texans.
That he did.
But more of a villain who, I think if you were to have one of those Mount Rushmores of Texans villains, I think his face would be on it twice, is T.Y. Hilton.
Okay, well, T.Y.'s on our list, right?
Good player, and y'all have him second, and listen to the numbers, 32-9. Colts are 32-9 against the Texans all time, including when Hilton wore a mask. Well, see, Mark didn't even put the stats in there for T.Y. Hilton.
Well, I remember at one point, I'm trying to remember which point it was, but at one point he had in 14 games against the Texans, it was like 98 receptions for like 1,700 yards and 14 touchdowns or some sick number like that. I mean, I can remember the games more so than anything else. The 2017 game, the one right after Deshaun had gotten hurt, he went nuts in that game. 2014, he went crazy. He just had those games. And the thing is that the clown mask game, that's what it's known as. And that's in the lab we need to do, the Texans games with names. The clown mask game, he didn't have a ton of production in that game. But
they hit him early on
and they got him involved
immediately,
early. And it was like 3 catches for 30-something yards. It was not much, but he had big catches, first down catches, and you just didn't want him to go off, especially after wearing the clown mask. And, and then he did. So T.Y. Hilton not being back with the Colts, thank God.
Here are the numbers on T.Y. Hilton. 20 career games against the Texans, 14-6 in those games. So he's won 8 more times than he's lost. 103 catches in 20 games for 1,800 yards. So just under 10 and 100 per. He didn't crack those. 17.7 yards a catch though against the Texans. 11 touchdowns all time in those 20 games.
Yikes.
Yeah, I mean, so he just roasted and doing the clown mask.
That was the capper. That's what put it over the top for me. But I just had a hard time, when I brought this up. I can't remember. We were trying to figure out what we were going to do for that segment. I don't know what it was that I thought about that made me think about doing the villain topic, and it just sort of
hit me. It's a great idea.
It hit me. I was like, let's do this. And I didn't tell Mark we were going to do it because I always feel like that you get a little bit more of a visceral reaction to the names and the individuals that you bring up. And I think you automatically go to Peyton just because you beat him twice. You beat him in 10. You did beat him in 12, but that was it. He set the records against you in 2013. The comeback games, the Rosencopter game, they're just the comebacks he had against the Texans. You can argue Peyton 1, T.Y. 2, or vice versa, but I think it's those two.
He's amazing
with a bullet.
I just don't think about him as a villain because he was so excellent against everybody.
Yeah,
it seemed like Hilton rose his game to another level when he played it. Now T.Y. Hilton's a phenomenal player.
Yeah.
To the point where I even on our group little text thread earlier this summer, I said the Texans ought to give him a look.
If he plays at NRG Stadium, he's going to blow it up for 8 games.
Give him a look in free agency if he's not anywhere, so why not? Why the hell not? Okay, so it's a cool list, and it's on HoustonTexans.com in the mobile app. Gillette Stadium I thought was a nice one.
Yeah, Mark changed that because I started with Brady, and then we started with Edelman, and then we started talking about the losses we've had, and Mark, the losses that we've had up there, and Mark just said, I think it's Gillette Stadium. And then as he talked himself into it even more. And I'm like, I think you're right.
You've had gut punches there, 17 and 18 with Deshaun.
Yep.
You've had absolute undressings, like Monday Night Football in 2012, and then the playoff game there. You should have gone in and won. You were playing against a third-string quarterback.
Yeah.
and you got
Thursday
shut
night,
out.
16.
Yeah. I mean, it was awful. So that's a great villain. Robert Mathis, Dwight Freeney, that's fine. They're all Colts if it's not Gillette Stadium. And you know what? They had to fill in the blank yourself.
Yeah, that's what
for number 5.
Yeah.
I'm going to fill in the blank, and I'm going to get under your skin with this.
Oh boy,
this is going to make you kind of angry because this is a guy who gets you angry whenever his name comes up. And I think he might not body of work might not have enough yet, but dang it, it seems like every time we play them, Darius Leonard does something to screw things up. Throw the monkey in the wrench, as John McClane from Die Hard said.
I do not disagree with you at all. The reason that he gets under my skin, it's all the other antics and the dancing and things like that.
That's why he's a villain. Those are villainous things.
You're absolutely right. He fit. You will have no disagreement with me on villain.
How about the numbers? Listen to the numbers. He's played in 8 games against the Texans. Okay. 9 if you include the playoff games. So 7-2 all time.
Go to one category for me.
Which one?
Go to FF.
Forced fumbles. He's forced 3 in the regular season. Okay. He's also picked off 2 passes, and what he's done is he's spaced those out. It's not all in the same game, and he's ended games.
2019
seems like against Kiki QT a few times.
The fumble he forced against the Texans in 2020. He ended the game in 2019 with the pick and then the pie face of Kenny Stills. Punched out a fumble of David Johnson, either 20 or 21. I can't remember which one it was. He is an absolute thorn in the side. Now, you said he's played 8 games, but all 8 games, I've said this, he doesn't tackle anybody anymore. Well, last year he was playing with such a bum ankle that it was hard. It was really hard to watch him move. He just decided, forget it. Let everybody else make tackles. I'm going to punch everything out.
To that point, check out the numbers, though, tackles-wise. Last year, yes, he only had a combined 11 tackles in those 2 games. But listen to how he started his career. As a rookie in 18, he had a sack and 13 tackles in the first game he played.
Yep.
A sack and 12 tackles in the second game, and he also broke up a pass.
And those were both in 18, right?
Those are both in 18. Right. And then in the playoff game, he gets another 13 tackles, breaks up another pass. So, double digits each time, and then followed it up with 10 tackles in the first game in 19. He also had the pick. He broke up the pass. Next game in 19, forces a fumble. Has only 6 tackles. Has only 6 tackles the first game in 20, but breaks up a pass. 15 tackles that second game in 20, along with another forced fumble, which is a big one. And then, Darius Leonard, and then he was jawing about him on their Hard Knocks in season last. I think he's a legitimate Texans villain, and he's creeping close. He's not up in T.Y. Hilton territory. That guy's in a class all by himself, in my mind.
I don't disagree with you at all. The fact that you put another Colt in there, which is not surprising. It's AFC South.
Sure.
You're going to play those teams twice a year, so you're going to create probably more, villainous activities with those in your division. I asked Mark this, maybe in a roundabout way, but I wanted to come up with some villains that came from different, outside the AFC South.
Yeah. You go Slauson with the Jets, wrecking Cushing's knee.
Oh, that's a good one. The one that I came up with was the Every 4 Years Club. Players that you faced every 4 years.
Uh-huh.
Eli Manning.
Oh.
Never beat him.
Tony Romo.
Oh, I didn't even think about Romo. But I came up with Eli Manning, Aaron Rodgers, and Russell Wilson. You've not beaten Russell Wilson.
No.
You beat Rodgers the first time in 2008, but in 12 he lit you up like a Christmas tree. 16 is the RALAX year, and he has the game-winning touchdown to Jordy Nelson that put him in the lead for good. And then 2020, he just a total blitzkrieg here during the COVID year. Russell Wilson beats you in 13, comes from behind. 17 comes from behind. 2021 gets a win against you. He's 3-0. Eli Manning never lost against you. I called it the every 4 years, guys.
Hold on a second. Rewind. What did you say? RILI what? X?
In 2016, the Packers were like, I'm trying to remember what the record was. It was like 5. They were 5-6 or 6-5.
Right. It was in early December.
And it was
like 4 or 5 games left.
So it was 2016. Yeah. So they
had
like
had
5
to
or
win
6
out. Yeah.
And so everybody's panicking, and he went on the radio and he was like, relax.
Oh, R-E-L-A-X.
R-E-L-A-I-X. Relax. So,
Relax.
Yeah. Yeah, he was basically telling everybody, relax, and then he won every game. And what I remember about that game in particular in 2016 was he was playing with a hammy. I think it was a hammy.
In the snow.
In the snow that he could barely move. And yet he scrambled for one key first down. He hit a wonderful – the throw to Jordy Nelson was just incredible for a touchdown. He's doing all this in a snowstorm and just making it look easy. And he looked on the field like he was that guy just going, relax, man, we're good. But I call it the every 4 years club because never beaten Eli, never beaten Russell, and only beat Rodgers that first time in the 3 games after that where he's 3-1. So those are the ones I came up with outside the AFC South. And those I kind of put all in one – they kind of fit all into one category. So I was like, I liked it.
Those are good.
I liked it.
Jeremy Shockey you could throw in there because back in 2011, he got on – he was with the Panthers, and he got on D'Amico Ryans.
Oh.
He was kind of nasty in that game.
He had that the preseason game, the very first game the Texans played when they played up in Canton in the Hall of Fame game.
Against the Giants. Yeah.
And, of course, it was a preseason game, so you take it for what it is. But, Shockey's a good one. I brought up Cortland Finn again.
Oh, yeah, he's absolutely in there. Absolutely. That's an oversight. How did I not?
Well,
because he actually played okay against the Texans.
Yeah. And I brought up Pac-Man Jones, too, because I felt like Pac-Man Jones – now, the Texans did, quote-unquote, get him later. When he went to the Bengals,
right?
He really didn't do much. But with the Titans, he was pretty darn good. The one villain that I don't think either one of us, I guess, had the heart to bring up, and because I think it was such a short time frame, was Vince Young.
Yeah.
Because Vince Young fit the category of being a villain, of what you would think of being a villain, coming back to his home city. And Vince, but he really was not. He was really not great in any of those games after that. I mean, he was good, but he wasn't great. He wasn't the reason the Titans ended up winning those games. It was Chris Johnson. And I brought up Chris Johnson, CJ2K, because that dude was unbelievable. But that was a really, really, really short. That was like basically 08-09 or 07-08. I think it was 08-09.
09 he had a huge game against the Texans.
Yeah, I think that was the year he went 2K.
Week 2, yeah.
So it was 2009.
08 was 2K, and then week 2 of 09.
That's when they left him wide open out wide.
They didn't cover him. I mean, you say wide. There's wide open.
And then there's not covering.
And then there's having the entire side of the field with no defender near him, and that's what they did.
A couple others that I think Mark brought this up. Ndamukong Suh.
Good one, for kicking Schaub.
Kicking Schaub, and then Fat Albert Hainsworth was the other one.
Yeah, for breaking Schaub's Liz Frank.
I kind of felt like that was I mean, look, villains can be one time or they can be villainous.
That's kind of where the Shockey thing came from.
Yeah, more like a one-time villain, like, ooh, man. Slauson kind of fits in that category, like a one-timer. But we've talked about this ad nauseum about if Albert Hainsworth doesn't break Matt Schaub's foot, basically.
Who knows what the Texans
What happens with 2011? At that point, what happens with TJ Yates? All those kind of things that ended up coming out of it. There were some great things that came out of it. There were also probably the possibility of winning a Super Bowl was right there that year with that team getting as hot as it was at that time. So he definitely fits in there. Another one to me that wasn't – he was injured so often. I couldn't remember how often he played against the Texans, but he was just such a force when he was on the field, and that was Bob Sanders. But I don't remember him playing all that much against the Texans. I remember him being banged up and injured a lot when he was playing against the Texans. So I don't really think of him too much as kind of a villain. I think T.Y. Peyton fit that. Darius fits that. I mean, those funky dances he's doing after he's making a tackle for 7 yards.
He makes plays against the Texans.
He does. He just he loves seeing the Texans. Then you're right, seeing the Hard Knocks. The Hard Knocks is always sort of interesting from that angle, as you get to hear what those players are saying about your particular team, and hearing Darius Leonard talk about that. Pharaoh and whoever he had a beef with, it was just And that's a good call. If you put him at number 5, I'll roll with it.
So Bob Sanders, to bring him up, boy, he only played 7 games against the Texans. 6-1 the Colts were, but he was inactive in 2004 for the second game.
Yep.
He played both games in 2005, inactive in 2006 for a game. Missed both games in 2008. Was on injured reserve in 2009. Played a few snaps, I guess. The first game here in in 10, and then didn't play in the second one. I mean, that's sad. That guy was a playmaker, and I think he was his body wasn't built to.
I mean, he was 5'8".
Yeah.
He was 5'8", 205. And I mean, he was fearless.
Yep.
I mean, he was absolutely fearless. And I worry about guys. I mean, look, I think Jalen Petrie is going to be one heck of a player. But one of his greatest assets might turn into one of his liabilities if he's not careful, and that is his fearlessness.
Mm-hmm.
He has no issue whatsoever throwing his body into 215-pound running backs repeatedly. I mean, you don't want to curtail that, but I always think about Bob Sanders when I think about a player like Jalen. Now, Jalen's a little bit bigger. He's 5'10", 5'11"-ish, 200 pounds. So he's built a little differently from Bob Sanders, but that same sort of fearless nature of you're in a different colored jersey and I'm going to hit you with everything I got.
Yeah.
It does worry me a little bit, but if there is a player that I am thrilled to watch this year, it's Jalen Petrie.
John, I'm glad you bring that up because Jalen Petrie was actually named to the preseason or an early projection of the 2022 All-Rookie teams.
Really?
He was put there at safety. Who do you think the other two Texans? There's three of them named on these teams. Who do you think the other two happen to be?
My guess would be Stingley and Kenyon.
False, as Dwight Schrute would say.
Dameon Pierce.
Correct. Dameon Pierce was
Dameon
put
Pierce
in there
is one.
because I think the projection was he's got a good chance of getting in there because of who's in the running back room with him.
Right.
It's a different running back room.
Petrie and Kenyon.
Mm-hmm. And then Christian Harris was the other one.
Ah, okay.
Linebacker Christian Harris, who Lovie Smith, Nick Caserio had a nice
fits hand in glove, yeah.
Yeah, had a nice bro hug over. They're excited about that, and he's one of those guys that supposedly, or not supposedly, but seemingly should be able to cover, hit, get after the quarterback from time to time.
Let's see it plays out like that. Christian's fantastic. Jalen Petrie's awesome. Dameon Pierce is the 1,000-yard rusher that John McClain has gone out on a limb and said he's going to be. Will you be frustrated? And here's why I ask. Will you be frustrated that Derek Stingley and Kenyon Green aren't on that all-rookie team? Now, there's a lot that could mean. And, maybe Stingley and Kenyon Green play all season long, but, Zion Johnson, who's another first-rounder from the Chargers, has a tremendous year, and the Chargers go to the Super Bowl. And because a lot of it, especially with offensive line, is about perception.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe Stingley has a great year, but, Sauce is tremendous. And, maybe there's some rookie corner that I can't think of off the top of my head that has 7-8 interceptions, whatever team, and it's Sauce and that guy. But Stingley has plays 16, 17 games, plays well. But if those guys play at a high level, then, okay. But if they don't make a rookie team like this, and I know a lot of it has to do with prestige and, national media and how it's perceived, all that kind of stuff. But if those three players are making it from a preseason standpoint, then eyes are certainly on the Texans and the Texans rookies for earning such honors. If Kenyon and Derek are not part of that, are you worried?
Not really.
Does it worry you?
Not really, because I think, let's say he does, Stingley, play all the games that you're talking about.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it, though, based on who he is, based on what teams will see on tape, based on his reputation, I think there's going to be a lot of teams that just kind of try to stay away from him. And if you do that, you're not going to get stats. You're not going to get attention because somebody else is the ball. Somebody else is getting targeted.
True.
So I think that could be a good thing. And if that's the case, you're doing it. I think we kind of saw that a lot with Jonathan Joseph in his early years here. Yep. The ball didn't go his way a whole heck of a lot.
And case in point, Teron Diggs was outstanding last year for the Cowboys, right?
Yeah.
He had, 10 interceptions?
Mm-hmm.
But he also had the other side of it where teams were challenging him because they saw on film that he was slopping his technique.
Yeah.
He'd bite on double moves. And teams challenged him. Now, they got burned a few times, but they also hit. So he was kind of the yin and the yang of exactly what you're saying.
Right.
Because he made you pay if you went at him too much, but if you went at him enough, you were going to end up hitting a big one over the top.
Which is why I could see Petrie benefiting from stuff like that.
True.
Because he is more around the line. He is more disruptive, more around the ball. I think he could kind of feast on
He can stuff a stat sheet, and that's a little bit easier for something like this as opposed to, man, we just didn't throw at Stingley.
Yeah.
And the opportunities aren't quite there.
And then to finish that part of that question that you asked, I think if Green doesn't make it, but Pierce does, but Green played the whole season, I think that means Green has done something to help Pierce out in that regard.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
offensive linemen don't get that recognition a lot. But I would think that he's done a good job.
Right.
Especially if he's going to play the whole year.
Yeah,
that
I
means
hope
he's.
so. Yeah. I just thought about that because I think the natural inclination is, well, they had 2 first-round picks. Those will be the guys because of what that list represents.
Yeah.
Every time it's an honor, it's like, how can we quantify to be able to say to people, well, we think Kenyon Green is fantastic. Well, why do you think that? And I typically go to things I see on tape. Well, he can do this on power. Yeah. He moves people. That's not that easy to give a guy credit and say, hey, this guy should be on the all-rookie team because he's knocking people off the ball consistently, et cetera. You want to quantify that in some sense. And so when it was not Stingley and it was not Kenyon Green, I kind of thought, all right, so what if as first-round picks, the first-round picks you've made since 2019,
yep.
What if the other guys are all that in a bag of chips and they're just not where they need to be or not where you'd want them to be? Would that disappoint you? And I don't think I'd be disappointed because I think there are a lot of different ways, like we pointed out, that it can go. You may not go after Stingley. Hopefully Kenyon's going to jump into that starting lineup at some point and he won't move out of it for the next 10 years, hopefully. But you never know how things are going to go down. And I think it was Darius Leonard who ended up, if I remember correctly, Darius Leonard didn't make Pro Bowl or didn't make All-Pro. No, he didn't make Pro Bowl the first year, going back to our conversation about that. And he was incredible. Yeah. I mean, he was unbelievable. He didn't make Pro Bowl. And then you find out, that was because he was listed as an outside linebacker. Well, that meant he was against all the edge rushers.
Yeah.
Like, wait, that's dumb. That's not the position.
So he didn't have the sack numbers.
Yeah, so it became kind of a number comparison. So I don't panic about it at all. I really don't worry about it. But the fact that the recognition for those 3 guys being second, third, fourth-round picks, I think is huge. I think it's fantastic. And
I like the guy that wrote it and had these projections, guy named Chad Reeder, or Chad Reuter?
Yeah, Chad. Yeah.
For NFL.com. I think he does a good job.
Yeah, very good.
I enjoy his mock drafts.
Yeah, he's not going to do the surface level, hey.
It's well thought out.
Yeah,
it's well researched.
Very, very well respected, I think.
Yeah. So I thought that was cool because he also didn't go with like what you're talking about. He didn't just go the chalk.
Right, he didn't go chalk. Yep, exactly.
Anyways, speaking of chalk, my kids got a Coco Melon chalk set for July 4th, and they were playing with that.
Nice.
At the Bay. Anyways.
What's Coco Melon?
Coco Melon is it's like this little cartoon where they take nursery rhymes and they sing them. So Wheels on the Bus.
Am I out of that demographic now?
You're out of that demographic.
I'm out of that demographic.
There's the main character is a little baby toddler with blonde hair named JJ.
Really?
No resemblance really to JJ Watt, but
none whatsoever.
Yeah, JJ.
JJ. Coco Melon.
Coco Melon.
All right.
Look it up on Netflix, or Netflix, as one of my kids pronounces it. Netflix.
Oh, that could go a lot of different directions.
Yeah. It's just a mispronunciation in his little mind. John Harris, it's always fun talking with you.
Yeah, man. It's good to be back.
And JJ, our JJ is behind the wall here making it all happen. Put your hands together for him because he does a fantastic job too. JJ, we love you. I'm Drew Dougherty. We'll see you next time. This is In the Lab. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to know when we post new content.